even our own body is not being respected.
You feel broken.
It was undignifying for me.
I am for them a prostitute, a whore.
Targeted and planned and organized, and we think it's paid for too.
The Egyptian revolution that toppled the Mubarak regime witnessed 18 days of people power. Women and men stood side by side in solidarity to demand their rights. But the beginning of the end of the Tahrir spirit began when the Supreme Council of Armed Forces, SCAF, took over power and forged an informal alliance with the Muslim Brotherhood. A pattern of assault, including gender and sexual-based violence against citizens who dared to protest, emerged. On the 9th of March 2011, Samira Ibrahim and other women activists were subjected to virginity tests by SCAF because they dared to go out to speak for women's rights. Sexual violence against women and men continued to be used by the powers that be, both SCAF and the Muslim Brotherhood, in order to intimidate citizens not to go out to protest.
In November 2012, me and my sister were at El Qasr Al Aini street near the Tahrir Square, and we're trying with our little first aids to help people who get injured from the tear gases and so on. A guy came to us and told us that come and help a girl, and we couldn't see the girl. We saw a circle with about around 30 guys or so, and they are surrounding the girl, and we couldn't see what's going on in the middle of the circle. I just saw the head of the girl. She was like fainting or so. I didn't know what she was facing actually. And then we tried to get in the circle, and once we got in the circle, we felt like touched, and we were being harassed, and we tried to get out of the circle. At the same day, we heard about so many harassment incidents. It's not just a sexual harassment, it's a political harassment.
We think that the system is using, whether the Ministry of Interior or the Muslim Brotherhoods in power now are using this kind of violence, sexual violence specifically, because it's the most extreme kind of violence.
In November 2011, we were demonstrating against the army and the Supreme Council of Military Forces. The fight was about 5 days. They shoot us with rubber bullets and tear gas, and many of us have been injured. After 5 days, we found that there was Islamists. They came out of nowhere and tried to push us from going through Muhammad Mahmoud again. We started a march from the square trying to go to Muhammad Mahmoud. When we reached the human walls the Islamists made, we heard many voices calling for help and saying there's something wrong and there's many harassment. We came back, we couldn't go through Muhammad Mahmoud. There wasn't any harassment in the square, only in Muhammad Mahmoud. The street, there was Islamists trying to prevent anyone from going there. When we came back and gathered in Tahrir Square, many of us talked about being harassed, men and women, and it's very difficult for men to talk about this.
We think that all of these cases, whether they've been attacking women or men, are targeted and planned and organized, and we think it's paid for too, to prevent people from participating from having any political participation, from participating in the demonstrations or the protests, and to exclude them from the public sphere.
I was in a kiosk where all the men were held behind me. Afterwards, I saw them being cuffed, and many of them were on their underwears. They were not wearing anything, like their clothes were taken from them. Making them sit on their underwears, of course, was meant to humiliate them.
I think they were trying to make me scared not to participate in those kind of protests again.
On the 17th of December, a young woman, veiled from head to toe, was dragged across the street, stripped of her clothes and beaten. A woman named Azza, who tried to save her, was subjected to sexual and physical violence that put her life at risk.
Last year, when the girl who's stripped out of her clothes and who is well known by the Blue Bra girl, when videos of what happened to her came out, the system, at that time the army, thought that this will intimidate the women. This will make us stay at home. This will make the parents and the brothers and the husbands and all the men in the hierarchy insist that we stay at home because it's obviously too dangerous for women. What happened later is the gender marches and the marches that included women and the marches organized by women were 10 times what was happening before. Women were conveying a message: we will not be silenced, we will not be intimidated, and we will not be scared.
The good thing about the women's spirit is that they know and they hear a lot about the sexual harassment in Tahrir Square and in protests and things like that, but they still resist to not stay at home. They are going out in protests in huge numbers, and they make specific marches for women just to prove we're here and we're not leaving the street.
On the 8th of June, I went to join a march against sexual harassment led by men and women. Everything was normal, no sexual harassment, no violence, everything is safe. After about 30 minutes, the march came, and as we tried to join them, we suddenly and out of the blue, an attack of thugs, including men and women, attacked the march. So they catch the women from Muhammad Mahmoud Street and Talat Harb Street. They insist to strip women and girls of their clothes. This is something, it's not randomly, it is something well planned, systematic, well organized.
While sexual harassment is prevalent in many societies, this kind of sexual and gender-based violence was politically motivated. It was pre-planned, orchestrated, and systematic.
There's a pattern in these kinds of harassments, group harassments, and they're very violent. They've been increasing in a dramatic way. The woman would be attacked by a man who would sexually harass her, and then she would realize what's going on, so she would try to react, maybe shout, and then other men, about 50 or 60 men, would gather around her, put their arms together, and while they're touching her, they tear her clothes up, or they try to strip her from her clothes. The inner circle would have men beating up the girls so they would fall on the floor, and other men who are constantly grabbing them and touching them and harassing them. And they keep changing. Some of them would go inside, some of them would be outside, and they keep changing, and this takes around 45 minutes to 60 minutes.
In November 2012, President Mohamed Morsi made a declaration that polarized the country. On the one hand, pro-Islamist citizens defended the president's declaration. On the other hand, some Egyptian citizens asked the president to repeal his declaration on account of its concentration of legislative, judiciary, and executive powers in his hands.
On the 5th of December, I was leaving the office, and we knew that a Muslim Brotherhood supporter have attacked the people protesting in front of Ittihadiyya Palace. With some of my friends, I decided to pass by while I'm going home and see what's happening. I take a few steps to stand with them and sing those songs, and we were chanting for liberty and freedom. All of a sudden, the Muslim Brotherhood supporter and their Salafist supporter, they start to throw stones and, against us, and I've taken a hide behind some metal barrier used for construction work on this area. My aim was to wait until the stone, I just take a look and suddenly seen the Muslim Brotherhood supporter surrounding me from all directions. They start to beat me, drag me on the street for about 200 or 300 meters. They were beating me with their hands, stone in their hands, some wooden sticks. I was losing conscious and wake up for a few seconds, and they were hitting me and beating me. During this time, they were pulling me from my clothes. They stripped all the clothes from my upper body, and I've remained naked for the rest of the time until I've been turned on to the police. The Muslim Brotherhood officials start to interrogate us, threaten us. You have to admit that Hamdeen and Brady gave you money to come here and make riot. Of course, this didn't happen. I was just an Egyptian passing by and just want to see what's happening. I felt humiliated, of course. I've been stripped of my clothes. They call me bad names. They frame me as a thug. For my case, I didn't been hit because I'm a Christian. They start to hit me before know even my name or even hear a word from me. Being exposed to all this violence, all this beating and stripping from my clothes was undignifying for me.
When protesters gathered to demonstrate peacefully at El Tahrir Square and then in front of the presidential palace, known as El Ittihadiyya, some were subjected to physical and gender-based violence at the hands of the Muslim Brotherhood and the Salafis.
When we started marching towards the gathering of the Ikhwan and the Salafis themselves, it was 6 p.m. almost. We marched till the Ittihadiyya Palace, or the nearest point we can get to. We marched and they marched, and we became just in front of each other, face to face. We stopped because actually we're a group who does not know each other. We're not organized together. We belong to different political entities, but we also have many independent individuals among us who belong to nothing. They had tear gas bombs that were not that much effective. I think it was expired. And they had rubber bullets, and there were fire ammunition actually among the injured. We discovered later, like in an hour or two, that we have among us people who are injured from live ammunition. They also had this bomb that is made of I don't know, concrete or something like that, and that has needles in it, and when it explodes, it kind of causes a lot of injuries because the needles as well explodes with it, and it gets spread everywhere. In that first hour or two, they were actually excessively using the weapons they had. At a certain moment, we started laughing because they will soon be out of bullets and ammunition. We started also getting rocks and stones from the platforms and around us, and we started hitting back. We kept doing that for hours. They kept attacking us, and we kept trying to defend the lines. They kept chanting that they're doing that to protect Islam. Many veiled women came into the front line to give them to symbolically say we're Muslims as well. They were injured by the rocks that were being thrown.
We had to protect ourselves. I had to collect stones and give them to the front lines because surprisingly they were shooting us. They had bullets, rubbers, and even tear gas.
I went in to the front line and out more than once. I went in with my colleague and comrade Rami Sabri, who's a member in the same party I belong to. And we were there aiding medically, but we were also bringing rocks to the front line. and assisting in protecting, holding the metal boards that were being held to protect and secure the ones behind us who are kind of throwing towards the line where the Ikhwan and the Salafis are. I asked him to leave. I was actually more concerned that he, as a Christian, would be more vulnerable than I am if he gets caught by the Salafis and the Ikhwan. It took them a minute, and then they were like, we had 40 people around me and 40 around him. They dragged us away from each other. I could hear him, he could hear me, I'm sure, but we couldn't see each other anymore. They started hitting and using sticks and using their own hands and using sometimes their shoes. I was wearing a helmet and a waterproof jacket for the Nicogel we use, the liquid we use, and I was covering my half of my face because of the tear gas bombs. So they couldn't see that I discovered in a minute that they couldn't realize I'm a woman. They started sexually harassing me from behind while they were thinking I'm a man. And then in a minute or two, they started discovering that I'm not getting the injuries on my head they want me to get because I'm wearing a helmet. So they took it off, and while taking it off, they discovered I'm a woman. Another wave of sexual harassment continued, grabbing me from the front and everything. And then when I screamed saying I'm being touched, I don't want anyone to touch me, I was going with them. I knew that going with them resisting will make me get beaten more, so I was going with them. It was no point to resist at that moment, that they are actually kidnapping me, that's it.
I went and was staying in a corner, and they were attacking our side, the Muslim Brotherhood and the Salafists. At some point, our side really went back. They couldn't resist more, and they took the place. And I was just staying, so I thought they won't hurt me. Even if they see me, they won't hurt me and they won't cause any harm. When they saw me, they started threw stones on me while I was staying. I did not move, I did not talk. One of them saw that I am a girl, so he said, it's a girl, don't throw anymore. So the guy who was throwing, he came by my side and he grabbed me from my hair and he delivered me to them. A huge angry crowd. They were insulting me, beating me, and they took me. I was locked in a gas station to protect me. And they were putting me in there to protect me from the angry crowd outside. And they started, after beating me and harassing me in this crowd, sexual harassment. When they were sexually harassing me, it was not one by one, for example, and it was not something personal, but it was in a huge crowd. Some of them were just fingering my ass while marching to the gas station.
The ones inside were mostly Ikhwan, as they have introduced themselves. Mostly Ikhwan and people who are organized within the Ikhwan, and very few Salafis inside the custody. The ones inside kept coming to interrogate me, and each one of them was always introducing himself, saying where he is from, to which section in the Ikhwan does he belong, and what is exactly his name. I think they shared such information because they do believe arrogantly that nothing would happen to them, that they will not be held accountable, that they don't care that I go out. Some of them believed I would never go out because of the Salafis and how they were reacting. But because they've already told the Salafis that I had Molotov and that I killed 10 of them. And they were calling by the name of the martyrs for my death. They were insisting that I have to be killed here, especially when they discovered that I'm a Muslim woman. Some Salafis jumped from above the electricity block and grabbed me from my hair and took me and pushed him away and said, you're not taking her She's our ghanima, our booty.
I am for them a prostitute, a whore in the street, coming from the thugs' side. So why not to break her? They grabbed me from my hair for long distance, yes. And they after, even after I was in the middle of all the crowd, they were grabbing me from my hair. Someone, for example, was having like a small cane, he was beating me. So I told them, just remember well that you are beating me, you took my ID, you took my cell phone, and I've been harassed. In your protest, you guys who know God and who are talking by the name of God and Islam.
I was dragged more aggressively towards where they want me to go. I didn't see exactly where at that moment. I was held for like 6 hours or 5 hours or something. The ones a bit sympathetic, like the doctor, were always asking me, why were you there? You're a woman, why were you there? When I was in the hospital, I understood my injuries needed stitches on the head, and I had bruises on all my body and a swollen face, of course.
The political use of sexual assault is intended to strip women and men of their sense of dignity and personal value. But those we spoke to insisted that they have all but lost their spirit of resistance.
I'm insisting, and I did already participate later in protests, and I'm insisting on going on the street and continuing, of course.
I would like to stop all these criminal acts happen to me. I don't want them to happen or repeat to any other human being. Definitely, I will go down and take part in any protest against Muslim Brotherhood because simply I don't want such people ruling my country.
It's awful and shameful to get harassed, and you feel broken. I will not let them to get in my way.
I did not stop protesting after this. I kept going, and I'll keep going.
They will not be able to prevent us from taking part in demonstration. They are not able to intimidate us. Nothing will stop us.